Alright, here's video 2 coming at you. So here I want to go through my pay. This is something that I was hoping to see more of when I was looking for jobs. You see what they say on paper that they're going to pay you. You always wonder if it's the truth. You hear people say when you first start you're not going to make as much, because especially with flatbed, but I guess any kind of driving, where you don't know exactly what you're doing, there's going to be a learning curve. And I just always wanted to see somebody's pay stubs, and not just one's pay stub. So, you always hear guys bragging out there, well, last week I made X amount. Well, what did you make the week before? And what's the average over time? And that's what I'm going to show you. I've been working this past week, Labor Day week, was my 21st week. I don't have a pay stub for that one yet, but I've got it all broken down here in a way that I think is going to be pretty easy for you to see what you can expect to make here at Maverick. Now, there's a couple of things to talk about before I get into it. One of the reasons I had to break it down the way that I did is because as a USA driver, so the USA division has to stay out 2 weeks before we get a reset. Regional division is 1 week. USA and glass are 2 week minimums. Now, for me, going home for just a reset on the weekend after being gone for 2 weeks, it wasn't enough time for me to really sink into the weekend and recharge my batteries and feel good about going back out on the road again Sunday night or Monday morning. So as a USA driver, if I put in a request to go out for a third or fourth week, I can then put in a home time request to go home on the day of my choosing, and that request doesn't count against my personal time. So regional drivers can do this too, but they only get 4 personal time requests per quarter. I mean, we all get 4 personal time requests per quarter, but the regional driver would have to use those to do what I'm doing. The first 2 times I was out for 3 weeks, and on my 3rd week, I put my request in to come back on a Wednesday. And I learned that was a mistake because my overall pay, my average pay and my average miles per day just went down the tubes. The ALM, the logistics team, I think didn't know what to do with me on Tuesday. They got me really close to home on Tuesday, and I just kind of spun my tires, spun my wheels for the next day, and got home earlier than I thought. I thought I'd get a half of a week at least on going home on Wednesday. So the next couple of times I tried to go home on Thursday, and again it didn't work out all that great. They didn't know what to do with me. What I've been doing the last couple times is being a little bit more communicative with my fleet manager and trying to have him help me make sure that they don't jam me up at home on Wednesday. And I'm putting in 11:59 p.m. as my desired home time for Thursday, in the hopes that I can work through Thursday and get home later in the day on Thursday, so I can have Thursday night. They send me home empty because I'm home for the whole weekend. That's not just a reset. So I have Thursday night, Friday night, all day Saturday night, and then all day Sunday, and then put in my ready to roll on Monday morning. And then I can be out for 3, or I think I'm actually going to be out 4 weeks now to just try to get that miles per day average back up. But the point in saying all that is, if I were to just average out all of my week's pay, it's not going to be indicative of what you're going to make if you're just doing what normal people do out here and just go home for a reset. So what I've done, before we get into the breakdown here, I'll just go into how I got all of this plugged in to this spreadsheet. So here you see each week separated out with its own sheet, and I've got the empty miles and the loaded miles for each run, and these are on the date that they were assigned to me. So when I got the work assignment, that's when they go. I didn't drive 898 miles here on the 24th of April. I got assigned that run on the 24th, and I ran it over the next couple of days. Now, especially in these first weeks, I kind of changed it later on. The TARP pay is checked. You see there aren't any miles under where I got this TARP pay, That's because this is when it registered on the pay stub. So the date on the pay stub, even though I got the assignment on the 24th, it didn't show up as for the TARP pay to be issued to me until the 25th. So I just moved it over. The only thing you gotta know is that I got 2 TARP pays that week, and these are my empty and loaded miles. Now, on the weekend, the reason these are in red here is on the weekend, these are my empty miles when I went to pick up the load. This is how many miles I ran that weekend, so that's going to go on that week's pay, and then it's going to get split. So I had 254 miles down here that I finished up on Sunday and Monday, whatever it was, depending on when I did my reset. And you can also see up here in the corner, we're running at what you guys are going to be paid. So I didn't start at 52 cents a mile. I started at 45 cents a mile. So if you go and you look at my pay stubs, you're going to see a different, this would be the top line pay right here with all of the other. Here I got $1.35 for minimum mile pay plus my $50 for TARP pay. So I got $51.35 in ancillary pay. And so that brings my top line pay to $14.44. Let's go over here and we'll just take a look at that real quick. Just jump ahead so you see what I'm talking about. So here's week 1. You can see 25. I'll zoom in. I don't know how well you can see this here. 2580 is the total miles that we can see. The miles is the same, but here, and they explained this to me why they kind of cut this down. It's 44.448. It's actually 45. But if I change this over here to 0.45 and 2 cents, you'll see this number changes to 1263. And here's my well, I've got it highlighted over here. My gross pay is $12.63. So it does track with my pay stubs. What I'm doing here is showing you when you get hired on, you're going to be at 52 cents per mile. So you're going to be making this if you drive the same amount of miles, okay? Now, I'll zoom out so you can see. This is just my own way of thinking about this. So you can see these 3 spreadsheets are lumped together. So this was my first week out on the road, this was a middle week out, and this was my home week. So you can see here that everything stops on Wednesday. This TARP pay you can shift back, that's when it showed up on the paycheck. So I got assigned this run on Monday, and that took me home. I think it dropped in Jackson if I remember correctly, and it was on Wednesday morning. I think I even stayed home on Tuesday and then ran over Wednesday morning to drop it off and came back. And you can see I only got 1,000 miles that week. Likewise, this second time I went out, I was out for 3 weeks again, week 4, 5, and 6. So this is my first week out, this is my middle week, this is my home week. I came home on this Wednesday. You can see nothing Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next time I went out, it was for 3 weeks, and I came back on a Thursday. Next time out for 3 weeks, and actually I think I did come back on a Thursday. That was just a long run. Yeah, I got quite a few miles for this split mile pay for the weekend, and then a pretty solid run here. Yeah, I'm sure I put in to come home on Thursday that week. I mean, 1,300 miles. My goal now is for these home weeks to get 1,500 miles. So I think that did take me all the way to Thursday. And so on. So you get the idea. Here I was out 5 weeks. Again, this is my first week out. This is a middle week. This is a middle week. This is a middle week. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is my vacation week. So I came back on my 4th week and went on vacation with the family. I hadn't been up to see everybody in a couple of years, so I was planning on coming back here on the 9th, but I just stayed out. So here's a pretty short week. You can see coming home on Wednesday to go up on vacation. So week 17 isn't even in the, when you see the pay stubs, there's no week 17 because I didn't get paid for week 17. So you get the idea, okay? When I break this down here, I break it down in that way. So these are my first weeks out, which are going to be typical of a regional driver. My middle weeks out are going to be more typical of, if you're staying out over the weekend, you're probably going to get more miles. You get that 800-mile minimum guarantee. And then my home weeks, you can see when I put in to go home. Here, Wednesday, Thursday. This was my last vacation when I went on vacation, coming back on a Wednesday. So I separated them all out so that we can make sense of it in terms that are going to apply to how you're going to drive. You're probably not going to drive like this. And so it doesn't make sense to show you what my average pay is when you're going to be making, you're going to be getting more miles per week. Now, one of the things I was surprised to find was that the first weeks out, coming in typically on a Monday morning, were about the same as my middle weeks. I thought my middle weeks were going to be substantially higher. Now you'll see week 13, I had a solid week, almost 3,000 miles. A couple of weeks ago, week 18, I had 2,800 miles. Those were pretty solid. That brought the average up here. And I had a couple bad weeks in my middle week. So who knows over the course of a year or 2 years if this average would be more typical. I mean, I think typically you're going to expect to get another 200 miles or so on average a week staying out over the weekends. You know, this is a limited sample here, so I'm guessing that's why the spread isn't as big, but you can see we're hovering around 2,500 miles for both my first and middle weeks out. And then my home weeks, like I said, you know, this last time home I ended up getting almost 1,500. Here on week 9 was my first time coming home on a Thursday. I got 1,600. If I'm out 4 weeks and I'm getting at least 1,500 miles in those home weeks, then I'm gonna be fine. Especially at the 6-month raise, as we'll see here when I summarize it. I'll still be at 70,000 a year, pre-tax dollars, if I do it that way. And then I get a solid week when I'm home. I'd rather stay out and then when I come home, really be home and feel like I get to see everybody and spend time with everybody. And then here's all weeks combined. And again, you know, take this for what it's worth. It's, I guess, something that you can draw something from, but it's, I guess what this shows you is what the absolute floor is. You know, if you're coming on board and you're just slacking, you're going to get at least 2,100 miles a week, and we'll see what the summaries are up here for the annual income and everything. But hopefully that makes sense, and of course you can go back and pause at any point. And you know, the other thing that I can, well, we'll do this first, and then I'll change to your 6-month pay. All right, so here we've got, these are all the first weeks averaged out. So these are the average weekly months, the same number as over here. It's the average miles for all my first weeks out. This is the average weekly mile pay, so this is without the ancillary pay. And so this is what the breakdown is just in those first weeks for your annual pay, just for the mileage. This is adding in all the ancillary pay, all the tarping pay and breakdown pay, all of that stuff. Average weekly total pay, and then the average annual salary. And I believe this is, yeah, so a lot of times as my buddy does this, he'll use a 50-week year just to be conservative. You know, anytime you're estimating income, you always want to be a little bit on the conservative side. You're estimating expenses, you want to be a little bit more aggressive and a little, you know, maybe exaggerate them a little bit. So if you're going to lowball this, you might change that to 50 weeks and just multiply this by 50. But if you work every week of the year, this is what your earning potential is. And then the middle weeks, and now this is the average between the two. They average out around 2,500 miles per week, which gives you, including all of the other pay that you're getting, a salary around $75,000. As I said in the last video, this is right out of the gate. You got 3 to 4 months of investing your time and effort to get to this point. I mean, there's no other job out there like this. There's no other job that, and for the training and the orientation, you're getting paid $600 a week plus an $800 bonus, plus some cash from me if you use me as a referral. So it's not like you're having to pay for schooling. It's not like you're having to pay, you know, you're not having to do 2 years, 4 years of schooling to get a degree to go, work at a desk for, 3 to 5 years before you can get up to the point where you're making $75,000 a year. You're making 75 right out of the gate. Now, this is at 54 cents a mile. So if we give you your raise at 6 months, so you're at 54, and again, being conservative here, the 0 to 6 performance pay, we put you in at 4 cents per mile. This brings you up to 58 cents per mile here. And now you're looking at $80,000 earning. Again, that's 52 weeks. You might want to, here, let's just, we'll just turn this into 50. Just to, it's always good to have a conservative number to work with. So 78,000, 78.5 is what you're going to be making, and that's averaging 2,500 miles a week. Now you got to run. I run pretty hard. I don't run as hard as some of my friends do. I run a lot harder than some other my friends do. But look, I came into this with no experience, and I'm able to average. I mean, you can see in my first weeks out, 25.80, my very first full week out, right? No experience. First week out of the trainer truck. 3,000 miles my second week. That felt good. This was a home week on Wednesday. It doesn't count. 24.77, week 4. 27.85, that week doesn't count. 18.84, that was a crappy week. I wonder what the heck happened there. Looks like I didn't get started until Tuesday. I have to go back and look at that. I wonder if there was a breakdown in there that I didn't put in. But anyway, 22.20, couple bad weeks, 3 bad weeks in a row. That was another home week though. 23.34, 23.47. It was a home week. Almost 3,000. Almost 25, 27. Home week. Going to vacation. I mean, so it's not a. And obviously, I'm going to be showing you this slideshow at the end. You can go back and corroborate everything I'm saying. I'm not pulling these numbers out of any dark places. So you can go back and check and just see for yourself that this is entirely possible for somebody who is just starting out. And if you do your homework and you compare what I've just shown you here to other companies and you feel like this is the way to go, please use me as a referral. It's a win-win for everybody. I cut you into the referral bonus that I get. So you get a referral bonus as soon as the person that you referred drops their first load. All right. So right when you're getting that second $400 of your student bonus, I get a referral bonus into my account, and I can either digitally transfer through Venmo, through PayPal, or send you a check. If you're an experienced driver and you come on board, it's the same 20/80 split. Cut you a check for $400, and it doesn't cost you a dime. So it takes a little bit more work than you might think to put these videos together. I got a few more up my sleeve that I'm going to be throwing your way. So I'm hoping this helps. I mean, really, the reason that I wanted to put this stuff out there is because when I was looking at this, coming from a place where I didn't know anything about driving a truck, I did not know up from down when it came to truck driving. There were a lot of questions I had. There were a lot of concerns that I had. There's a lot of stuff that I really had to really dig to try to figure out, and a lot of stuff I never was able to figure out. So I'm hoping to make life a little bit easier for you if you were like me about 6 months ago, just kind of wondering whether or not this was the right move, whether or not this was something worth doing, whether or not you're actually going to be able to make the kind of money that they say you're going to make. So I hope it helps. Again, if you do use me as a referral, please send me an email. First of all, you got to put the referral in before you go to Little Rock. Send me an email with your name. I put it in on my side, and I'll also give you my phone number. If you got any questions or anything nagging at you in the lead up to orientation or during orientation training when you're first driving, you got somebody in your corner you can call. So that's it for now, and we'll see you in the next video. All right, take care.